Yo, back at you with another episode from ChooseYourRelationships.com, author of Love Can't Wait, which can be found on Amazon.com. So, yeah, I just got done interviewing Mickey Royal. He's the author of these two books, The Pimp Game, Volume 1, Volume 2, and some other books too. But these are the two books that I have. Hey, I highly recommend you go to Amazon.com and go get that. Man, he's accomplished a lot since he's been living, man. He's an LA dude, born and raised. He used to be a producer and director of porn videos. Used to be an ex-pimp, street dude. He directed over 100 adult movies. You know, it's crazy, man. Yeah, you know, he known some of the people that we know that still do porn today, and some of them that used to do porn back then. You know, his mom was a Black Panther. I mean, I'm like, God damn. I couldn't even believe he came on, but I was happy that he came on, man. We went for so long. We went for like 2 hours, and he still could have easily went for another hour, but I got tired, man, to be honest, So like I said, man, Mickey Roy, he's done a lot, accomplished a lot. We talked about everything, man. We talked about men and women relationships. We talked about the shadow world, the underworld. We talked about just things in life in general, how he grew up. I'm telling you, man. I highly recommend you go get the book, man. Like for real, for real. Don't let the title of the books throw you off. Don't let the title of the books throw you off. Inside these books, there's actually a lot of wisdom. There's some things you can apply, to your life. You don't have to be a pimp. You don't have to be a street dude to apply certain principles and strategies to your life. You know what I'm saying? So don't let the title of the book fool you. You know what I'm saying? Just go to Amazon and get it. I'll put the link below and read the bio. I'm going to put his bio below this video. So, hey, enjoy the video. Okay. Man, you've done a lot, man. You accomplished a lot. How did, LA has changed a lot. It's not the same, man. I've been, 2019, and it's not the way it used to be in the 90s, man.
Oh, no. I grew up in the 80s, and I saw it change. I've been around, so I come and go. But I know it's not the same. A lot of faces are not there anymore. There's very few people that I knew in my youth that are still there. The whole neighborhood has changed, the city, the attitude, and some stuff stayed the same. But it's quite different now, but it's still LA though.
Yeah. I went there for a conference that was at the Hyatt Hotel right by the airport.
Yeah.
I had somebody show me around for like 2 days. And after 2 days, I was ready to leave, man. It's like, I was asking, hey, where the black people at, man?
Many of them. It's like when people ask me how I like living in Mexico, I say, I've always lived in Mexico. Y'all just call it Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It's no different, A lot of the blacks, I can tell you where they moved out to. They moved out to Palmdale, Lancaster, the Antelope Valley, Kern County. In Kern County, they moved to California City, Barstow, stuff like that, because they put up a bunch of apartments in Palmdale, and the population doesn't. You got old Palmdale and new Palmdale. Old Palmdale is one-story houses, and old Lancaster is one-story houses with a lot of land, for horses and stuff. Then you had new Palmdale come in and build these big apartments, a lot of houses, like a regular neighborhood close together. and they don't have the people to support that. So what they did was they dropped their rent in half. It's real cheap out there, and they accepted Section 8. Well, that brought all the Compton people out, especially since the rent was getting higher. The cost of living was getting higher in the hood. So they all went out to the Antelope Valley. And the problem with that is they took in all these single mothers in these places, and the single mothers, you know who they date.
Yeah.
So you go down 10th Street East in Palmdale, you might run into 4 different sets on one street. They're all from LA. They just moved out there because the rent is half price. So it's off the chain out there now. That's why I caught my last case.
So how did you grow up? You know, how was it when you was growing up?
What do you mean? How was LA?
Yeah.
Or different parts, you know. I grew up in Inglewood. You got BC and AC. Now you say BC and AD.
Yeah, what's that?
It's before crack or after crack.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Two different worlds. Prior to 1984, everything was great. It was as close as you can get to the Brady Bunch or you know, Mayberry, Leave It to Beaver. Yeah. And in 24 months, in 1986, it turned into something different. By 1986, it was gone. But like 82, it started around 84 is when it started, around the Miami Vice era, around the Cosby Show era when it started. And when crack came in, that was it. You know, my parents got divorced, my mother got cancer. So our economic situation changed tremendously. And it was either predator or prey, and I don't really do prey well.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a small town, and I saw what happened in where I was at, and I can only imagine what happened in the big cities.
Yeah, it was beautiful before crack. I mean, going to Disneyland and cookouts and barbecues, and every Saturday seemed like a family reunion because we'd all be in one place. They're watching the games, and it was great. Then when crack came through, it was like a plague, and it looked like a war-torn country in just 36 months, from like 82, 83 to 85, 86. It was gone. I mean, just gone. Everything gone. I mean, it was still there, but that's when you had gangs when I was growing up, but they fought every once in a while. You know, you would hear of a shooting every once in a while. Very, very seldom. Yeah. But when crack came in and the Uzis came, it changed everything.
Yeah.
You know, spray paint on the walls, and it just turned into a whole different place just in that 36-month period from like 84, 85, 86. But like prior to that, when I was like 10, 11, I rode my bike and we did kid stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy, man. You know, shit. So how'd you get into writing books? How'd that come about?
Well, I've been writing all my life. I wrote my first play at 5. I got that story on my Facebook page. It just always was a way to escape from me. I always loved books. You know, my mother's a retired teacher. My grandmother's a retired teacher. You know, all my aunts and stuff are teachers. The men are usually truck drivers, electricians, things like that. But, and some of them were teachers, but not primarily. The women were dominant teachers or nurses. So I was always around it. I knew how to draw up lesson plans when I was like 8 and 9 because I would sit there at the table when my mother was doing it. She showed me. So I was always around words. You know, I've been reading since I was 2 years old. That's what happens when you have parents for teachers. So I always, or teachers for parents. You know, I've always written. It's just always been my escape. You know, poems, short stories, plays, and then it went into like songs later and later into books. I think I wrote my first book in like the 9th grade. We were in, it was homeroom class, and we had they turned into a reading class and writing class, and he would give us these journals, these, you know, notebooks, and he said you have to write for 20 minutes because homeroom was only 20 minutes. And I said, what do I write? He said, you can write anything. You can write standards, you can write stories, you can write your songs, whatever you want to do. I said, I'm gonna write a story. I said, does it have to be a different story every day? He said, no, it can be one long continuous story. And it was a murder mystery. It was about 90 pages. I just filled up the little notebook, the little mead notebook. And from there, I just kept going. I liked it. And he read it and said it was good and all that kind of stuff. I just made it up as I went along. It was a murder mystery set in Chinatown, San Francisco.
That's cool, man. You know, I didn't really want to write or do none of this shit, to be honest. You know, Like mostly my friends told me to, hey, you need to do that shit. You need to do that or whatever. Because they was like, hey, somebody got to do it. It ain't gonna be us. You should do it. You know, that type of shit. But so how did you get into directing like porn? How did that come about?
Oh, a woman I was with, her daughter used to be with Ron Hightower. Well, actually, before then, that's when I got into the professional ranks. But amateur, I ran into some guys. I didn't know what the internet was called back then because I haven't owned a television in 13 years. I'm not really on computers or TV like that. I'm always out. If I live anywhere, it's just a closet and a shower, and I'm out. I stay up for 3 days at a time. So I'm always gone. And that's when I was in the life pimping. And it was just a natural progression or regression, depending on how you want to look at it, ascend or descend. And chick I had, she was older, considerably older, but she had a website. And I know it was all like, wow, you're on the computer? And, she was showing me the pictures. And back then, there was no video. They were just starting with video on the computer, but they were just still, the websites were still pictures. And she had a photographer and stuff. And, we got to talking, and I saw what she was doing. And I got behind the camera. I didn't know what I was doing. I had a high 8 camera when I first started from Circuit City. But it wasn't until I got with a Hightower that my stuff went to a professional level.
Oh, this is before Backpage.
Long before, this is before Craigslist. No, is it? Gosh, I'm trying to think because I was the first dude to sell that stuff on Craigslist. They didn't have an erotic services section at the time. You had to write down WFM, woman for man. And every time it was free to post, and every time you post, it goes to the top.
Yeah.
I was in my 20s then. I just kept reposting. A chick showed me that. I kept reposting, keeping all my girls on the front page. So that's long before Backpage.
Yeah.
But I think Craigslist was. I'm trying to think of how old I
was. I don't know which came first.
Which one? What you mean?
Backpage or Craigslist? I don't know which.
Craigslist was long before that because I started doing that Craigslist posting in my late 20s, I think.
Okay.
I'm 50 years old, so.
Yeah, you're older. Yeah, you're a little older than me. Yeah.
So
how do you even know you? How do you even know you could pimp? How'd you know? How'd you have the confidence to do it?
Since like 1920 and stuff. So I knew I could do it. It wasn't a big deal. It's the same strand I have in my second pimp game book, The Preacher, the Pimp, and the Politician. That's why ex-pimps can become preachers so easily and ex-preachers can become politicians so easily. It's the same ism, It's the same game. It's just a macrocosm going down to a microcosm. Pimp maybe has 6 in his audience. A church maybe have 3,000 in their congregation, and a politician has 300 million. But it's the same spit. So
yeah, you're right about that.
If the exact same tricks used and techniques used, it's just used on a smaller scale on one end and a larger scale on the other. But it's the exact same. So it was just a natural, again, progression or regression, depending on how you look at it. And I was always surrounded by the underworld. And then I got into the shadow world, but it was always there. When you're in LA, you're disenfranchised. I don't know anybody in LA who got a job on their own. Any job they got through an auntie or uncle or a neighbor down the street. It's some kind of hookup because there's so many people, 6 million people in LA County alone. It's 30 million people in California. It's 300 million people in the United States. So that means 1 out of every 10 Americans lives in the state of California. It's really overcrowded. And when you say California, you're only talking about 6 cities. You're just talking about the Bay Area, maybe Bakersfield, Fresno, LA, and San Diego. But that stretch between Bakersfield and Fresno, it's just flat land, a house here, a house there, but we all live in the same cities. So we stacked on top of each other, almost like Hong Kong. So it's when you're in that world, and I entered that world around age 13 on a serious note, but I was flirting with it at 11 and 12, but it was just, I was more into breakdancing and pop locking than that kind of stuff. But that's what kept me out late at night. So you run into those type of people, and I always say yes to things. I always tell people I'll try anything twice. So, one thing led to another. And if you're around and in that world, you have women who are uninhibited always around you. If you got a powder cocaine, you're gonna have uninhibited women around you. They're just there. They're just there, and already they're uninhibited. So when you spit game, it's like, okay, I ain't doing it tomorrow. Why not? You know, and one thing leads to another, and it grows like anything else you give birth to. You know, I tell people the NFL started with like 8 teams sponsored by mom and pop stores. Look at it today. You know, it started with just guys playing in a little vacant field, crowds of 30 people, like a little league game, and it grew and it grew and it grew to the conglomerate it is today. Well, that's like that with anything else you start.
Yeah, you know, because
you basically give birth to it. It's alive, and it just grew, and eventually you're doing the pornography thing, because that's just a natural progression of from the streets to the suites.
Yeah, just like when I was in my 20s, man, I was naive, man. I didn't even just like when I was in the Navy, I got I was invited to a swingers party when I was like 21, you know, and it happened because a guy wanted me to smash his wife. So I'm like, what do you mean? You know, see, I didn't know that world existed. You know, that's how naive I was, man, when I was in the 20s. And I just started learning more and having different experiences. And I was like, it's like a whole different world, you know? It's like underground. It's like almost nobody talks about it.
Well, that's what we refer to it as the shadow world, because it exists right there in broad daylight, but if you don't know what you're looking at, you don't see it. But exactly. It's right there. I was on National Geographic, and I said, she said, the women out here naked. I said, that's because it's nighttime. In the daytime, they're wearing full clothing.
Yeah.
It seems backwards. But at nighttime, they're half naked. They're walking around in thongs and stuff on the track. I said, but in the daytime, you won't see them like that. Because she said their headquarters is down Figueroa, down that street, closer to downtown. And she said, I come down the street every day. I've never seen it. I said, you don't know what you're looking for. I said, if you came down here at 1 p.m., they were out. They just had full clothes on. They're sitting on the bus stop. But if you notice, bus after bus will pass by and they don't get up. I said, they're working. They just don't look like that in the day. I said, it exists right in front of you. But unless you know what you're looking for, you won't see it. So I call it the shadow world.
Yeah. Yeah, I started calling it the underworld.
Well, the underworld for me is drug dealing, you know, mafiosi, things like that. Yeah. But the shadow world is specifically the pimp gang or the sex trade, if you want to. Like they're right there. You know, it's like saying you never saw a porn star. I said, if you went to 818 area code, you bumped into them every 5 seconds. But you don't know what you're looking for. You think she's walking around with what she was wearing in the movie. No, she's not. But it's a certain walk, it's a certain way they carry themselves, a certain way they dress in the daytime, very conservatively. Usually an exaggeration of what they think conservatism is. I said, no, that's Jenna Jameson you're looking at. You just don't recognize her with her clothes on at 2:00 p.m. Come back by around 8 o'clock tonight when we're shooting. You'll recognize her. I said, but you can't see it, like shadows. They exist in the daytime. You can't see them unless the light reflects off the body and has the right background. But if you walk in the whole dark, you still have a shadow. You just can't see it because it's being hidden. It's right in plain view though. It has to have the certain type of angles for you to see the shadow against the wall. But when you walk away from the wall and you're walking in the grass, it's still there. It follows you everywhere. It's just that certain positions of the sun won't allow you to see it. But that's the same way with that world. Swinger parties, they don't always go on at night. We used to do ours Wednesday, it'd be 2:00 in the afternoon, Hollywood, up in the loft. Yeah, it's kids down there playing and doing the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You have no idea what's going on up in that building. It's existing right in front of you. You just don't know what you're looking for. But people in that world, they can pick you out of a crowd. They know that we know our people when we see them.
Oh, yeah.
And we walk and everything.
Yeah.
I tell people to this day, I don't miss LA. I don't miss Inglewood. I miss Hollywood. There's an electrifying energy at night. Hollywood in the daytime and Hollywood at night are 2 different places. You got to be at night in the thick of it, and it's the allure is just so strong.
Yeah, you even started having swinger parties.
Oh, I did swinger parties, voyeur parties, anything that has anything to do with the exchange of sex for money, I did.
Yeah.
For decades.
Yeah, it's starting to be more and more of that now these days, especially in places like Atlanta, New York,
Well, Shane
Houston.
has died. They've been doing this for a long time. I know Bob Crane back in the Hogan's Heroes days used to hold big swinger parties. Errol Flynn, Walt Disney. They were some of your early pornographers. They used to shoot them right at the Disney studios. I mean, in the daytime, it was Disneyland. At night, because they want to make money around the clock. Why make money for 12 hours when you got some wise guys coming to you and saying, can we use your equipment? It's not like Disney was behind the camera, no, but they were using his studios and studio equipment at night because it used to just be locked up. He's not making any money. The lease is still the same. Why not rent it out to these guys, no matter what they're doing in there? They're not stealing anything. I tell people porn, I've seen porn from the 20s and 30s. I've seen porn that has no sound.
Damn. I didn't know they were doing it like that.
The first picture that was taken, that night the first naked picture was taken.
Okay.
It's always run parallel. It's hundreds of years old. It's as old as the camera. Because I've seen that kind of stuff.
So has the internet changed the porn game for the worse, or you think
it depends on who you're asking, but to me, yes. There is no more porn industry. When you hear people talk about the porn industry, they're talking about the past. There's no more. It used to be warehouses, wholesalers, distributors, retail stores, trucking companies that just delivered that. Airplanes going back and forth from doing the Swedish thing, bringing that in, importing it in from Brazil, going back. All of that's gone. It's just people at home streaming now, uploading, and the internet. No one's going to pay for something they can get for free. So
yeah,
VHS shut down the movie houses like the Pussycat Theater. Well, the DVD came in and shut down the VHS, and the internet came in and shut down the entire DVD industry. I mean, there is no more Blockbuster, Circuit City. Go try to find a Titanic DVD. You have to go to Amazon.com. There are no more DVD stores. No. So it didn't just shut down porn or hurt porn for the worst. It shut down all of that. The entire market is gone. Blu-ray tried to make it a comeback, but that's still brick and mortar, something you can touch. The internet is something that's streamed, so Blu-ray never even got off the ground. Before it could even take off, it was landed. The internet wiped all of that out. So it's just a new way of doing things now. They make more money off advertisers. We made money off units that were actually sold. They make money off things like clicks, downloads, and views. Well, there's no warehouse needed for that, so that's shut down. All those people out of work. There's no distribution networks needed for that. That's shut down. There's no trucking companies needed for that. That's shut down. So it's a shell of its former self. So whenever you see movies or AVN awards, there is no more porn industry. There's pornography. There will always be pornography as long as someone can take a still picture or record a video. But is there a porn industry? No, it died with the internet. Not immediately. It took about 3 years after that. But I think it officially died, I would have to say, around 2010. They were still trying to hold on, but I mean, you're moving 1/10 the units you used to move, but you're actually making better movies. Why? Because people are getting it for free. They're streaming. They're doing this, that, and the other. And the porn industry went to war with those streamers and sued them, but all they did was pull their sites down, change the name by one letter, put it right back up the next day, and now you got to go get lawyers and go through this whole court proceeding again. So it's like playing poker, but not having enough money to sit at the table. Well, you eventually have to fold. Even though you're right and you have a better hand, you can't keep raising. They could. The geese could pull it down, pull it right back up. You have to go through all of this rigmarole again, so it shut a lot of doors. So that was it. My last movie I did was, I think, in 2012 or 2011 for Heat Wave. Now it's it. Heat Wave's not there anymore, so it's a 99-cent thrift store now.
Damn. So you knew, what do you think happened to a lot of the people that used to do porn? Like, you got the Heather Hunt. I'm talking like the people that are well known. What, they transitioned into other things or what?
Well, I stopped keeping up with people around 2012.
Okay.
I went to prison, and when I got out, I didn't look too many people up except the ones that were close to me. But usually they went, if they were young enough, they went back on stage, went back to escorting. If they were too old, they went back to what they were doing before they went into porn. Whatever that was. If they were a mechanic, that's where they are. They went back, even though if they were in the industry 20 years, if they couldn't make the transition, and some made the transition and started streaming, but not too many from that crowd.
Oh, damn. Yeah, the internet has changed everything. It's I think, sometimes I say it's a gift and a curse. I don't know. Depending on how
Yeah, but
you.
it's evolution. You can't hold back evolution. I mean, just think if you had horse and buggy and you had like 17 horses you were trying to sell, and all of a sudden here comes this stupid thing called the automobile. Or you had a blacksmith shop where you made horseshoes. Well, now you're out of business. Now your only business is farmers, and it used to be everyone. So instead of moving, 6,000 horseshoes a day, you're moving maybe 40. Well, you can't live off that. So you're going to have to either go with evolution and start selling tires, or go back to what you were doing before you sold horseshoes, which was probably just being a goat farmer. So those are your choices,
Yeah.
Go forward or go backwards, but you can't stand still. The man who refuses to grow grows smaller because things grow around him. So you only got one or two choices. You can't do neutral because time only ticks one way. But you can do reverse, and you can go in accord with the time. A few of them went in accord with the time and started streaming and got their little stream companies, but most of them, they went back to what they were doing, and some just disappeared and started over.
Damn. It's crazy, man. Yeah. Hey, do you
squared up and got married and stuff?
Say that again?
A lot of the females I know, they squared up and got married.
Oh yeah.
A lot of them are Facebook friends. You probably wouldn't recognize them with their clothes on.
Yeah.
They got on the page now, and husband, and at the church bake sale. I said I knew a different woman at a different time. But they grow. She was 19 then. She's 39 now. A long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of them that I know, some of them that were in that life that I know personally, they if I see them now, and it's like they're like a new person. I'm like, damn. How you doing?
Person,
Yeah.
It's like if you've been in the service, last time you saw your buddy, he had a uniform on, he was running up a hill. You saw him 3 years later after he got out of the service, he has a suit and tie on, and he's an accountant. And you ask him, you want to go run up some hills? And he's looking at you like, I don't run up hills anymore. I tie it. I mean, dude, that's a long time ago, man. You saw me in that blue uniform. Now you see me dressed in a black suit. I didn't know you wore black. Yes, I wear different colors. You just saw me in a position in my life where we had to wear the same uniform every day. You think I keep wearing that 20 years later every day? No. Yeah. I have on shorts sometimes. Sometimes I wear green. I wear pajamas sometimes, but you don't see all of that in there.
Yeah.
When you're in it. So.
Yeah. So do you ever maybe you get emails from people in relationships, and do they ask you questions about, hey, how do I get more girls?
Actually, that's most of my questions, male and female. They go to my website, and you can go into services, and I charge for that service, but I always do follow-ups to make sure my results work. If my results don't work, then you come back for free and we fix it. But they always work because I actually did it. This is not something I learned in a book. This is not something I learned academically or through my own base of logic or figuring things out, one or two relationships. I've had thousands of women pass through my life. Thousands. Yeah. From 19 to 50, thousands. Not 1 or 2,000, thousands. I just don't want to get into actual numbers, but some stay a week, some stay a year, some stay for the duration of the trip, but by mostly they come and go. So my data was collected you can watch Rocky 1,000 times, get in there with Evander Holyfield and get your head knocked in, or you can let Emmanuel Stewart train you, who's actually been through this, does this, and he'll put you in there in 6 months and you'll knock him off. So a lot of the stuff that people get now is from television, movies, things that they heard, things that they try to figure out on their own, unless you've done it. You can watch First Blood and think you know about Vietnam, or you can talk to my uncle. He can tell you stories that the movies don't have. Because I've heard him tell me stories that the movies will not put in there. He said, but you had to been there to know those things.
Yeah. And sometimes there's a lot of guys that, if you tell them something that you experience, they have a hard time believing it a lot of times, because in their mind, a woman is supposed to be a certain type of way.
Well, that's probably in their world. See, when you hear something from another world, you can't process it through your world. It's like when my partner was telling me how it was in the Philippines, and I was asking certain questions. He said, you're looking at the Philippines through American eyes.
Yeah.
Suicide bombers seem really crazy to Americans, but Crips and Bloods seem really insane to Palestinians. They don't understand fighting for land that you're not going to obtain. They don't understand having an enemy who did not encroach on something that belongs to you in the first place. They don't understand killing a man because he's wearing a different color. That's insane to them. But then when you realize that they strap dynamite to themselves, grab their enemies and blow themselves up, you think they're insane. That's because you're looking at them through American eyes. They're looking at you through Palestinian eyes. You got to look through a person's eyes in order to see what they see. So it sounds weird to certain people because certain people live certain type of lives, but we're all as individual as our fingerprints. There's 8 billion people on the planet, no two fingerprint, we don't have matching patterns. If they print you and print me, you and I don't have the same pattern. That's how many different patterns it is. So that's how many interpretations of right and wrong it is. 8 billion right and wrongs. 8 billion normal and abnormals. So you have to keep an open mind and understand that we all didn't walk down the same path.
Yeah, man. Sometimes I have regrets because if I never would have went in the Navy, I would have never had the experiences that I've had. More than likely, if I wouldn't have went in the Navy, I would have just stayed home, probably went out of town here and there or whatever, you know. But being that I went in the Navy and I traveled all these places and I met all these different people, I can't go back the way I used to be.
No, you can't.
You know
a smart man can pretend to be stupid, but a stupid man can't pretend to be smart. If I got $10, I can show you $5. If you got $5, you can't show me 10. So once your eyes have been opened, it's impossible to close them again. Yeah. You know, when you were a baby, you crawled. The second you stood up and stumbled and walked, you didn't go back to your knees again. You don't be driving down the street and see a pretty girl and hop out and start crawling over to her because you forgot how to walk. Once you started walking, you never went back to crawling. Your brain didn't even focus. It can't even process that anymore unless like bullets are flying, you got to crawl your way out of there. But other than that, no. Once y'all started driving, I didn't get on the bus anymore. Yeah. Once I started getting on the bus, I started riding my bike because I can only ride my bike so far. With the bus, I used to go around the city. But once my brother got his car, I didn't go nowhere but with him in his car. He was 16, I was 13. Once I got my driver's license, no, it wasn't I'm gonna park my car today and ride the bus like I used to. I went out there, warmed it up and bumped out. That was it. I forgot all about the bus that quick. It took me less than a day to forget I was ever on it. It was all about this car now, you know, and that's how growth is.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people don't understand what a lot of veterans, when they get out, you know, and they're upset, and a lot of them, they get depressed. And if you like this video, share this video. And if you want to support my channel, click the thanks tab and leave me a donation, 2, 5, 10, 50. Just click whatever tab you want to donate and leave me a note and let me know how the video helped you. And you click the buy and send tab. Appreciate it.